Here we go.
Okay.
This is
The
now
ice cast
live.
machine is still warming up, but it should be live any minute.
Apparently this is live.
Cool. All right, that's cool with me.
Fuck it. Let's do it live.
Actually, that reminds me. There was supposed to be a. I don't know. This is live, isn't it? I don't know if I should say that or not. I was going to say I didn't end up doing Floss Weekly today because
Oh,
the Docker people have like cancelled 3 times in a row or 4 times in a row now. So just because they're busy, like, and trying to get hold of them is fucking impossible.
oh yeah, they're busy docking.
Docking shit, yeah. Yeah, they've cancelled a few times, or postponed, I should say, a few times now. So we were going to try and do it today, and then that hasn't worked out. So I can't say I'm that surprised. So at least that's one
They're
thing.
busy docking that thing to the comet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To be honest, I think the fact that that they're getting so much freaking interest right now, they're probably busy making money or something, which is fair enough. Right. Okay.
Everybody was busy tweeting about that fucking
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Sorry.
with the comet.
Oh yeah. The
Most
docking.
boring fucking space op ever. Hooray! We landed on a fucking comet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, comet's slightly different. I was going to say, isn't this the point where Bruce Willis is supposed to blow up that comet?
Yeah,
now that they've landed, him and his team are supposed to like plant charges to blow it up before it
that was actually
destroys
more
the Earth.
exciting. It's a shitty film.
Yeah. Well. All right. Give me 1 second to do this.
Right. Righto. Whenever you are ready,
Oops.
we can
Mm-hmm.
go live with the space ops.
Actually, I should start the Icecast as well. I realised I've put it on, but I haven't actually started it. Okay, Icecast is now live as well, so people can hear us.
2 viewers on YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
All right, cool. Hello, YouTube.
Even though we didn't tell anybody we were going to do a show, which is my fault because I was busy.
I know, Tommy Bobbins is on the IRC.
I was in Nottingham. Technical difficulties, it says on YouTube. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. He says, yeah.
Oh, YouTube is launching that music service.
Are they?
Oh, this is intriguing if you're watching the video. No, I'm guessing that's the music service. And I'm guessing people were saying the site's slow to respond, so I'm guessing might be server problems.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What new music service are they launching? I'm totally out of touch.
I haven't looked at it. I haven't had the inclination today. It's something where you can listen to music. It's like Google Play, I think. I don't think it's video based.
What, like Google Music? Because they've had that for ages. Okay.
Everybody uses YouTube to listen to music, so
right.
And they watch the video, so it kind of makes sense. They do have I'm guessing they do have a lot of deals with.
But there's
companies now.
There's a what's it called now? Google Music Unlimited or Google Music something like that. It's basically where it's like Spotify.
I know what you mean. It doesn't make any sense because Google has Google Music. But either they're still running YouTube so independently that it's not, they're basically just rebranded their service. I don't know. Since I haven't looked at it, I can't tell you. I will at some point. Can't be asked right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right, then let's do this. Oh, some other people in the chat room. That's good.
Whenever you are.
Yeah, I'll start my recorder. I am now recording. That's slightly weird. Why is that?
I've been recording.
I feel like my mic's cutting in and out. Maybe it's just me. Oh, do you know what it is? My headphones. I thought my mic was going on and off, but I think it's actually my headphone thing was loose. Okay, that's on. It's recording. It's got power. It's got over 2 hours on the thing. So I guess I'm ready when you are.
Let's do this then.
Mm-hmm.
If I can find the button to play this. Which,
this is really starting to show, isn't it? Hang on. The gap is really starting to show.
Your mic is cutting out.
Did that definitely cut out then? Yeah, something happened. What the fuck's going on here? Tell you what. Let's turn that down. Hello, hello, hello. All the cables are fine. Everything looks fine. I've just turned noise gate. Basically, it's not off, but it's pretty much off. Right. So I suspect maybe that was something.
I'll tell you if it happens again.
Okay, hopefully not. My desk's in protest.
I'll start this then.
Cool.
Disappointed! Linux Outlaws is proudly sponsored by Bytemark UK. Check out their Big V platform for all your web hosting needs. Find out more at bytemark.co.uk. Six Gun Productions. New media, new rules.
Hello everybody, welcome to Linux Outlaws episode 367, part of Outlaws Last Stand. It's been so long, I nearly couldn't find the right timing to fade the intro out. My name's Fab from near Hanover in Germany.
Hey, this is Dan coming to you from Liverpool in the UK, in the United Kingdom. Yeah, it's good to be back. I think we're both realising that, we haven't forgotten how to do this, I hope, but I had some problems there. I forgot to put the Icecast on. I, forgot to do other things. So it's amazing how quickly.
We always say this when we haven't done the show for a while, and it's been a while. I mean, I've just returned from Nottingham. Speaking of Liverpool, I learned over the weekend that the Emperor of Mankind, the God Emperor, is a Scouser.
Is he?
Yes, I learned that from a fellow Liverpudlian.
Really?
Who I met, who was really cool. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they have this thing because he's the God Emperor. He talks in this voice that he doesn't really talk. He's a psyker. He talks in everybody's head.
Okay. And does he go like, hey, hey, hey? Or stuff like that? Or...
Well, some people can't understand him. Because his voice is so booming. So that's where the theory stems from, that he's a Scouser.
Oh, okay. Maybe. That's quite interesting.
He also has a large hubcap collection.
Really? Yeah. The Imperial Hubcap collection. Yeah.
Yes, guarded by the Imperial fists. Behind several walls.
Okay, that's interesting. It's good to be back. Obviously, by now everybody knows the kind of news and stuff that we announced and so on.
You say that, but I had people surprised today. Which I was like, I'm prepping Hello, which is one of the last shows, and they're like, what do you mean? I sent them a link to the blog post, at which the response was, no! I had quite a lot of people who were utterly disappointed.
Yeah, a few people told me that. I don't know how to put this really. I've said this to a few people. I've been surprised, almost amazed, in fact, at the amount of people who still seem to care that much. So thank you, everyone. That's very nice to know.
People who are
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So so a few people sent me that clip, as you can imagine, the disappointed clip. A few people sent us that. We also had and I wish I could find it now. I meant to look before the show. Someone did like a Photoshop or whatever it was of me and you as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, because I said about the last stand and all that kind of stuff, and whatever.
I've got that on my Twitter. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that was quite nice. So just in case there's any chance you don't know, we're gonna. This is like the fifth of our final. Sorry, it's the first. No, I've got that totally wrong, haven't I? It's the first of our final few shows before Christmas, before the end of the year, before we hang up our hats and our guns and stuff for a while. So that's pretty cool. It's thanks to everyone for their messages. We're going to talk about that later on, and we've got like feedback and stuff. I was amazed how many people actually. I suppose I'm not amazed because this does happen, but a lot of people didn't actually read the blog posts or listen to the show that we did where we talked about it. So a lot of people just assume the show's already finished. They were like, oh, well, shame you didn't do any more. You're not going to do any more shows, and I have to keep going. Well, actually, there's a few left if you look at the thing. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how that goes. So what have we got to mention then? You've been traveling, but that's further down the list, haven't we? You've written over 300 blog posts on Ghost, apparently.
Yep. Thanks to Ghost, I'm now up at 300 something. Pretty cool. Pretty fun. Yeah.
Still liking it?
Like Ghost. Yep. And it's actually a big part of that happening.
It hasn't jumped the shark yet, then. Maybe it will at some point.
Yeah, it will at some point.
That's cool. And also, your desk was included in the little feature they do in Linux Voice, where they have people take a picture of their desk and talk about their kind of setup, if you like. Yours was in issue 9, I believe, of Linux Voice.
Really cool, and they were really nice. They sent me two copies to Germany, no less, which is awesome. I found the tweet, by the way. It was Tommy Bobbins.
It was. He's in the IRC tonight. A few people are.
Something's wrong with my head on that, but it is cool.
Okay. Somebody said, I was going to type it, but I can't be bothered. I'll just say, Starsoft is saying in the IRC I sound a bit distant at times. That's because I've even forgotten how to stay near a microphone. It's been that long. So I'm kind of going over here and going, and wandering off over here. So if I sound distant, that's just because I'm being an idiot and not staying close.
Once we come back next year with that new project, we'll have to relearn all of this. This is oh
shit, yeah.
This is just the beginning, This will show us.
That's very true. Meanwhile, what else have we got to mention? Yeah, Linux Outlaws Last Stand. I like that picture. It's cool. Although, I'm not, I'm not criticizing at all here because it's really awesome and I love that he did this. But I've got to say, your head doesn't quite fit on the body properly. Mine looks okay. Yours is kind of like just slapped on.
That was what I was saying. It looks there's a problem there, but the hair matches up. I like how the hair matches up. That is really well done.
Yeah. To be fair, he does say in the I see there I couldn't get Fab's head right, so there you go.
My head's hard to get right. That's what my parents said too. I've been up to a lot of stuff. I've blogged about all of this, so I'll put link in the show notes. I've created a gun club. Co-founded a gun club with some people, which is cool. That goes right in with the Last Stand. I'm getting
does a bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
The ammo together.
I'm worried that you took that a bit too seriously. Are you going out in some kind of jihadi kind of like just gonna?
In the last episode, I'm just gonna blow my brains out on YouTube with the shotgun.
Live on YouTube. Yeah. Although, actually, Google Hangouts would probably crash before that happened. just at the crucial moment.
Yeah, they would censor that or something.
Yeah, I feel like I should have some news of my own, but I don't really. I've just been working and playing music, and what else have I done? I must have done some. Oh, no, I went, okay, yeah, so I have got some interesting news. You may have seen if you're on Google, follow me on Google Plus or Twitter or any of those places. I haven't posted them all yet.
Anfield.
Yeah, I went to a special tour of Anfield, which is where Liverpool Football Club, my team, play, which is obviously in Liverpool. It's about just over a mile away from where I live. And I went on a special tour with 2 of the ex-players on Friday, and we went around the dressing room and we chatted to them, and we went out to the tunnel and we went down onto the pitch and stuff, and all in all the back room areas and stuff, and it was very cool and it was a lot of fun. Sadly, we lost the game the next day against Chelsea, so that was a bit annoying. But yeah, but the tour was good, so at least there's that, you know. There is always that. Yeah, I got to go and see our 5 European Cups, you know, so that was worth it. In the trophy room or whatever upstairs.
Are there like replicas?
Yeah. So apparently
every time.
Yeah. So apparently what they do is we've got one of the originals, because if you win it 3 times in a row, we haven't done that, but if you win it 3 times in a row, or you win it 5 times overall, you get to keep the cup. You get to keep the cup. It's like the World Cup. They do that with the World Cup as well. So you get to keep the cup that you win. So we've got one of the originals because we won 5. We've got one of them.
So they're duplicated?
The others are all duplicated, but there's one that's an original. Yeah.
But how can you keep it? Like, isn't the next winner gonna?
So I think they just make a copy, a new trophy or a new metal one.
Do they do that with the World Cup?
Yeah, they do. They've changed the World Cup a few times. So there's the one we have now, which is like the people with the hands and the world and all that holding it. I don't know why I'm doing that on the. Well, I suppose you're watching the video. It makes sense. Yeah, the people holding it. That's not the original trophy. They had
yeah, but the other one was stolen and molten down.
Yeah, but you do get to keep it. Like Brazil have got one of the original World Cups because they've won it. God knows how many times now. You must be pretty close. How many times did Germany win it? 4, 5?
4. But I think you just keep it for the 4 years, and then you have
you do that anyway if you win, but you get to keep the actual trophy. That's one of the things they put in it. If you win it 5 times, so you need to win it once more if you want to keep it.
They do that with the World Cup. That thing's massive gold.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why you win it.
To replicate
put it on eBay. Put it on eBay as soon as you win it. Like, you know, put it on eBay.
How expensive is it to replicate that?
It's probably very expensive. So I don't know if they're going to continue to do it with the World Cup, but one of the things that I did find out while I was to keep the World Cup.
If you have to win it 5 times, then only Brazil has that.
There you go.
Brazil is the only country that's won it more than 5 times. Yeah,
Brazil's got an original. Yeah. There you go. So the World Cup is a gold trophy awarded to the winners of the World Cup. Yeah, don't know shit.
No shit.
The World Cup is the trophy awarded to the winners of the World Cup. Brilliant.
Wikipedia gold.
Wikipedia is informing and entertaining us, yeah. There you go. So, from 1930 to 1970, they had what they called the Jules Rimet trophy. It was recovered. It was stolen, but it got recovered. So they gave the Jules Rimet trophy, which is the original one.
But the other one got molten down.
I don't know how it works. It got stolen.
Read on. I think this one got stolen. I think it got stolen again. I think it got stolen didn't it get stolen in England?
Yeah, but there was a famous folklore legend about it being found by a dog called Pickle.
Right, and then I think it got stolen in South America again.
It's always getting stolen. They need to keep security on this thing.
But that one they couldn't find it because somebody.
Maybe that's possible. So the first trophy.
They had to make a new one.
So Brazil got to keep it. So it says
Welcome
first
to
trophy.
World Cup Outlaws.
Yeah, there you go. The first trophy, originally named Victory, was blah blah blah. So there you go. Brazil won the trophy outright in 1970, prompting the commissioning of a replacement. So the second trophy is different design and everything. It's the one we've had since 1974 actually, since the next World Cup. But the original, the Jules Rimet, is in Brazil. They've got it. They won it. So anyway, that's all off the track. But the point, one of the points that the guy did make, which I thought was quite funny, is that there's only 4 clubs in Europe who have a copy, an original European Cup. Liverpool is one. Like Real Madrid, I think, is another one. Yeah, they must have it because they've won it like 8 times or something, or 9 times. Bayern Munich, I think, has one, and maybe Milan, AC Milan have one as well. But apparently UEFA must be short of money because they've announced that they're not going to allow anyone to keep the trophy anymore, even if you win it 5 times or you win it 3 times in a row. You won't be allowed to keep it because they can't afford a new trophy or something. But it does mean that Liverpool are the only British club who will ever own an original European Cup. So take that, Man United.
Well, it's huge and it's made out of silver. It's ridiculously huge.
Anyway,
did you know that Lothar Matthäus rubbed his nuts on the World Cup?
I can believe that. Yeah.
They showed one of the players did like home recording videos at the '90 World Cup.
Oh yeah.
And they recently there was a film made from that, and which caused some upset because some players didn't want this to get released, and there's some lewd dressing room footage, including basically naked players showering, and then you can see Lothar Matthäus basically rubbing. You can see he's naked, and you can see the World Cup, and you can't see anything else, but he's pretty much rubbing it. He's teabagging the World Cup.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, these kind of things happen. I know we're getting really into the kind of World Cup Outlaws, but there was, I don't know which year it was, but one of the European Cups that Liverpool won, I think it was either in 1977, it might have been that one, I forget. Anyway, so one of the cups that Liverpool won ended up in a pub in Kirkby, which is just outside Liverpool.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, the captain at the time, or one of the senior players, a guy called Phil Thompson that people might know, he played for England as well. He tells this story about when they got off the plane, they'd come back from wherever they'd won the World Cup, won the European Cup, and they came back on a plane to Liverpool Airport, which wasn't really a proper airport in those days. It was just a little airfield, and they landed on there. And then he said everybody got out, and they all got in their cars and went to drive home. And he said, and he just realised he was stood there with the European Cup, and everyone else had gone. So he went, I guess I'll put it in my car. So he put it in his car and drove home. And he owned a pub, so he put it on the bar in the pub. And my uncle's got a picture of him with the European Cup in the pub, because basically everybody heard the European Cup was there, and then people were coming from all over the place and going to the pub to take a picture with it. And I dare say nuts may have been involved, but I haven't seen the picture. So, you never know. It does make me think, though, actually, again off topic, but you mentioning nuts made me think of it. One of the guys in our office today came in with these like peanuts that are flavored with chili, but they're called chili nuts. And he kept saying, like, he came in and said, "I've got chili nuts," and I said, "Well, shut the window then." That was quite funny. And obviously the joke kept going on. Get some thicker underwear. I've got chili nuts. I kept saying, "I've got chili nuts" all day.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Anyway,
speaking of nuts. As I said, I've been to Knots recently.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Had fun geeking out with the Warhammer people.
Cool. You saw Dave as well.
Yeah, I saw Dave. We hung out, met some cool people.
Does he live in Nottingham or nearby?
Oh, he lives in Sheff.
Right, okay. Is he from Nottingham, or have I just totally imagined that?
No, he's from Wales.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I had this image that he'd gone to university near where that event was, just to make it nice and easy.
Sheffield is pretty close.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I flew to Manchester and then took a train to Sheffield and then a train to Nottingham. It's a really nice train ride as well. It goes through the Hope Valley.
Yeah, it is nice.
It's really nice. Yeah, and we met some cool people. We did two Angels of Death recordings. Recorded. We had one with somebody who had there, Jay. He sat in on an episode. This was fun. I had brought my microphones and everything and gaffer tape, luckily, but I couldn't bring mic stands. So I took a lampshade. I'm currently nearly finished with the blog post. I'll publish that. I'll put the link in the show notes. I took a picture of it. I took the shade off the lamp and everything, and then taped two microphones to both ends.
Like MacGyver.
Actually, yes, I was actually humming
if MacGyver did a podcast.
The MacGyver theme. Now, Dave never watched MacGyver. He didn't recognize the MacGyver theme. So I'm there with gaffer tape. Dave's like unpacking, and I'm like, this is the first thing I do when I come to the idol, and I'm like going with gaffer tape. So, that was fun.
To be fair, he's probably too young to remember that anyway.
That was a running gag as well. We don't know what we're gonna do with Angels of Death yet.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know. We'll see what we'll do next, and if not, whatever.
Okay.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. All right, and so in keeping with tradition in the show, I suppose I should keep us moving on as I always try and do. We have got some news actually to mention. Some of it's quite old because I put some of this in weeks ago.
I've got old stuff as well. News in air quotes, as I call it.
Cool.
Just some stuff I think we could catch up on. Not quite sure what we're going to do the next 3 episodes, but there's probably not going to be news. And the main focus of this show will be a rant that'll be after the news.
Stay tuned.
We had emails. People said, "Oh, I should have go out with some rants."
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring one today. Anyway, Android Lollipop is kind of out. I don't know. It's not available for like Nexus devices, like some Motorola. Something got it first.
I was gonna say I haven't had it on my Nexus 5 yet, which is obviously LG, isn't it? So I'm fairly certain. I'm just gonna mind you, I would know, wouldn't I? I'm sure, but I'm just checking in my settings here on the phone. But I'm fairly certain I'm on 4.4.
No, it has not been rolled out. I think it was Motorola device. They should get it first.
Okay.
They also released some new Nexus devices, Nexus 6, and what's the other one? Nexus 9, which is a tablet, which finally Google's got it. It's a 4x3 tablet, which is basically what I like about the iPad.
Okay.
I don't like I think this one's too big as well. I don't like the big iPad. I really like the iPad mini, but the form factor is a lot better. I think it's better for holding and for pretty much everything except watching videos. There obviously 60:9 ratio is better, and then this is why people bitch, but like I don't get why people watch videos on the iPad anyway, or on their tablet, because there's too little storage, and then people I can stream it, whatever. It's like, yeah, that's what you have a TV for.
So is this the same size as the iPad mini, or is it the same size as the iPad?
9-inch. I think it's about the same size as the iPad. I think it's a bit smaller. It's hard to tell because like the phone, I just have an image here with the phone
of course. Yeah.
And the phone's fucking huge. The phone's like, I mean, I find the Nexus, was it Nexus 5? What's the Nexus 5? Right? It's the phone. I can't keep those numbers straight. I find that like just a bit too big. Like I wouldn't mind it was a bit smaller. But
I find it. I know what you mean. I wouldn't want a phone any bigger than this, the Nexus 5,
like,
to be honest.
This is like phablet territory.
Otherwise, I may as well just get like a Nexus 7 and sellotape it to my head or something.
Yeah, might as well just run around with a laptop or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or a Chromebook or something if you want to keep on the Google.
Gaffer tape that to your arm.
Hello. Actually, I mean, I know you've mentioned this before. Some colleagues of yours have them, but lots of friends of mine are getting like Android watches now.
Oh God,
smart watches. I don't even wear a watch, so it doesn't really.
Colleagues of mine just have them because we get them. We obviously need to. Like, they need to wear them. It's like always you see somebody in the restaurant, like in the cantina, like in the like where we eat. You see somebody from the mobile.
I like that you call it the cantina. It makes me think of the Mos Eisley cantina. Is there a band in the corner going doodly
that would be so awesome. I love that song as well. Well, the thing is, it's called cantina in German, so
of course.
What's it called? The cafeteria, right?
Canteen. It'd either be canteen or cafeteria or something.
That thing. Anyway, and you see, like, they wear them for like 2 weeks, and you're like, is that yours? No, it's mine. Are you wearing that because you like it? No, it's for testing. And pretty much everybody doesn't really. It's just a gimmick. Like, I haven't met any of my colleagues yet who are really enthusiastic about them.
Yeah.
And I don't like that's like sellotaping a phone to your just use gaffer tape, you know. Have you actually, speaking of gaffer tape, have you heard the duct tape song?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Maybe
I'll send you a link later. I'll put it in the show notes. It's awesome. It is a song about duct tape set to the tune of DuckTales.
I remember DuckTales. Yeah.
Duct tape.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Scrooge and Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
And all that, cool. All right, and so stay tuned for more gaffer tape Outlaws coming up. Or duct tape, I should say, Outlaws. I'll check that out actually. Yeah, sounds cool. Meanwhile, Microsoft have been fairly busy. Miguel de Casa, who is a former guest on the show, in fact, a long time ago, he was a guest on the show, famous for starting the Gnome project, or Gnome project, right. I should say.
This is actual news. This was announced today.
Okay, that's cool. So this is fresh. Well, it's fresh as we're recording. He's well known for Mono as well, which was an attempt to copy. He probably wouldn't like that term, but it was an attempt to basically replicate the .NET framework and all that kind of stuff for other devices, because
when they were
released the .NET framework.
On like radio that it was called Mono because he only has one nut. Just bring it back to the nuts.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe he had chili nuts as well, or chili nuts.
Jonah Bacon got employed after that show. That show shows you that you can get away with anything. You say if you just cover it up by say community enough.
He did, yeah, and I mean we've talked about this before, but your friend and mine, the Brigadier, Mr. Adrian Bradshaw, talking about looking up his own arse with a mirror. I mean, how do you get a job at Red Hat after that? You know. So I don't know. Anyway, so meanwhile, back at the story, Microsoft have decided to open source the .NET framework. And this is interesting because Mono for a long time has been trying to do a lot of what .NET does, and it's always been a little bit behind, or it's actually diverged a bit now because they've got slightly different use cases. And Mono's really popular with what Miguel's doing now seems to be mainly mobile gaming stuff for the iPhone and so on, and other platforms as well. And Microsoft today have come out and said, so Scott Guthrie apparently announced that Microsoft are open sourcing .NET. This is a momentous occasion. This is Miguel's words. Momentous occasion, and one that I have advocated for many years. .NET is being open sourced under the MIT license. Not only is the code being released under a very permissive license, but Microsoft is providing a patent promise that will ensure .NET will get the adoption it deserves. I remember a long time ago we talked about the Mono patent promise with Bradley. I think it was came on and talked to us about that. Our friend Bradley Kuhn, he came on and told us.
TLDR, it's shit.
Well, I wonder. I don't know. I mean, as people will know, I've mentioned it many times. I used to do .NET stuff about 10 years ago, a little bit over 10 years ago, and at the time it was really good, and I actually enjoyed it as a developer. It's quite nice to work with, and C# was pretty cool as a language.
Yeah, I was going to say this kind of brings the show full circle a bit because
it does a little bit. Yeah.
So about you doing .NET stuff.
But I'm not in the enterprise. I never really was in the enterprise software world, but I'm definitely not in the exactly. The 5-year mission to boldly go.
Sell servers.
Yeah,
at overpriced rates.
I was never really involved in the enterprise software world, but I did have some kind of involvement with that. And I've started again. But I'd be interested to know how popular .NET still is. Really, I wonder.
Pete's log started 575.
I may be wrong. I may be wrong in this, and people probably, we've got a few shows left, so write in and tell me if you think I'm totally wrong. But I do think that .NET isn't as exciting or as interesting as it was years ago to people, and maybe this is the last kind of fuck it, let's just open source it and see if we can generate a bit of interest that way. Because Mono has kind of eaten into some of that, and a lot of the stuff like Mono on for mobiles and stuff we were talking about in development stuff. I'm not sure how there'll be a lot of legacy code, I'm sure, for .NET, and there'll be all kinds of business systems that tailored for certain companies. But I don't know how many people these days think I've got a new project to do. I know I'll do it in .NET. There's probably not many, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking, why? Why would you do that in this day and age? But having said that, it is good that this is happening. It says the code is going to be hosted on the .NET Foundation's GitHub repository, so they're even using GitHub to host it. So that kind of makes sense. And who knows? Maybe it will make it make it grow and become a more interesting, vibrant project again. I hope so. In some ways, it could be like Netscape, open source in their browser and it becoming Firefox and all these other things. It could grow into something else. I don't know, but I'm not convinced in this day and age.
Dan, I think we can say this now. I mean, people will the timing. People will know because of the timing. I think we can now admit this. Even though the NDA is not completely up, but I think we can say that we are quitting.
Is this cleared with the legal department?
I'm just saying this now. We did quit Linux Outlaws to go work for Microsoft, and there will be .NET Outlaws in 2015.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Yeah, it is going to be fun. So we've been charged with revitalizing the .NET framework. Yeah.
We hear Miguel has a drawer full of Twixes.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was Aaron Bockover, wasn't it?
It was Aaron Bockover, who's not, I don't think, involved anymore in that kind of thing. He was doing Banshee, wasn't he?
He's not involved in Twixes anymore.
I don't know, but I don't know if they work together anymore because Miguel obviously left Novell and all that stuff.
It's so weird. I was thinking about Linux Reality today. Actually, I was looking.
Oh yeah, Chess Griffin.
Looking up Chess Griffin, and like I don't ever know if was he ever a lawyer?
I don't know.
I think he's gone back to being a lawyer. Yeah.
All right. No, I didn't know that.
It's interesting.
No, I didn't know that. All right, so that's pretty cool.
Where life takes people. Yeah.
I think this is quite interesting. I mean, they've been kind of doing this for a little bit, haven't they? Because a lot of their MVC framework, their MVC models and all this kind of stuff. They did that a while ago. And some of the components within .NET were opened up.
Probably could test the waters.
Yeah. So it says this is interesting. So this is from Miguel's company. We've mentioned a few times, Xamarin, which he is now running, and Nat Friedman got involved again. They got the band back together. And they're doing that again. He says here, Xamarin and the Mono project will be contributing. Yeah, and the Mono project. And now you're making me think of like Ron Homo Sapien, or what they used to call him. Ron Homo Sapien, or something. He was the head of Novell, I think. Anyway, so Xamarin and the Mono project will be contributing to the efforts to bring .NET to Mac, Unix, Linux, and other platforms. We will do this as Microsoft open sources more pieces of the .NET core. Okay, interesting. To be honest, I mean, this is almost, I could be wrong, but I said, didn't I, that I think 10 years ago I was doing .NET and I was kind of interested in it. And the promise of .NET at the time was that it would be in the same way as Java was supposed to be write it once, run it everywhere. And I know that doesn't always work out, but the idea was you'd be able to run it on any platform. Microsoft were going to bring out .NET for Linux and .NET for Mac and other things, so you would be able to run these things, and they never did, and that's why Mono became a thing. But I do wonder if now, it's a bit late for all this, but who knows? Maybe we'll finally see .NET on Linux and actual .NET. Mono's great, but actual .NET, original .NET, if you like.
I'm so glad we're quitting this show. I don't want to live in that world.
Here comes the final ice cream. It's not the final ice cream, but I may get some more.
Somebody asked if you ever. Somebody
if
said
you ever interview them. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. If you ever
right, hold on a minute. I'm off. Yeah, I will do someday, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to do that. I'll try. I've never, to be honest, I'm quite worried I'll just get stabbed or something. Like the guy will just freak out. I imagine he's probably not up for it. Maybe. Who knows?
Hey, I survived Shottingham. It isn't that bad.
True. All right. So more Windows news or Microsoft news.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Microsoft has come out with Windows 10, not Windows 999. I don't know. The rumor was that there is some really old code that works like for Windows 95 and 98. That goes like Windows 9 whatever, and that with the version number that this would screw it up, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that does seem unbelievable in some ways, but actually, well, I don't know. Maybe it was made up. I was going to say, I've seen examples of some of the code, because remember a few years ago, was it about 5 years ago, something like that? There was code to, I think it was XP was released, or there was code for one of their Windows releases that was basically
the comments.
Yeah, that was the comments that were all like, "This is horrible. This doesn't work," and I'm hacking this together, and terrible, dirty hack, and all this stuff. Which I believe is one of the code names that we're going to go with.
Well.
Yeah, Windows terrible, dirty hack. That was the development code name. No, but there was code in there. Somebody highlighted it recently. There was code in there that had like a Windows 9 star, whatever, asterisk. Structure, and I don't know, maybe it's not true, but I would like to think that having a 9 in it would fuck up all their old code, so they've had to go to 10, and that's quite funny. But maybe it's not true.
The other theory is that they because Windows 8 sold horribly, that they want to put distance between that and their new release.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're giving it a new number.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Like a number that's further away.
I'm just checking something because here we go. This will make sense. I'm just looking something up if it will make sense in a minute. Right. Okay. So I'm looking at the Windows Power. There's a screenshot of PowerShell, the Windows shell, and you won't believe the way this works. You can type in find package, and then the syntax and VLC, and it will return.
Yeah. This is what we're actually going to talk about. This is a new feature in Windows 10.
Yeah.
Which is a package manager, which actually looks a lot like RPM, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but I'm amazed how people are raving. It's typical. It's the classic thing of we've seen this lots of times over the course of this show, and probably further back even. When people say, "Oh, Mac have invented this new thing where you can have." Apple have got this new thing where you can have multiple workspaces. It's called Spaces. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. Who would have thought of that? We've only done that for 10 years or more. Or 3D animation on the desktop, which was done, I was doing in 2005 and 6 with Compass. And then people were like, wow, have you seen the 3D visual stuff you can do in Aero or whatever the fuck it was on Windows? But yeah, I'm just looking up. So apt, which is obviously, as we all know, is the Debian package manager, that had its first release in the 16th of August, 1998, apparently. So welcome to 1998, Microsoft. Well done.
Come on, there must be package managers older than.
Well, maybe there is. Yeah, that's what
there must be stuff before that. Didn't Blackware have something before that?
I don't know, to be honest. Let's have a look. Maybe people in the RC can tell us. Nobody's listening. No, it doesn't look like it. Hang on. So I'm just looking in the RC to see if somebody's popped up with the answer. There's usually a slight delay, so maybe not.
No,
RPM
saying nobody consuming alcohol this evening. Oh, I'm drinking. Believe you me.
So, no. Okay, so I'm trying to find when it was first released. I'm looking at RPM now. Okay, so 1997, RPM was originally written by Eric Trowen and Mark Ewing in 1997.
Of Red Hat fame. I think
JR.
he was the guy with the red hat.
J.R. Ewing, as I like to call him. Okay, so it's based on something. It's based on something called PM or PMS. Yeah, I know.
That's an awesome name for a package manager. This will fit right in with my rant later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's not preempt that. So
it's a really grumpy package manager.
Yeah, it says
the Aunt Irma episode.
Oh yeah.
What do you want?
That's right. Yeah.
What's it? Women problems? No, what's it? Manlyproblems.com? What was it?
I can't remember now. Yeah, lady problems. Lady problems.
Man problems.
Yeah. Anyway, so apparently that was written in '95 for Red Hat. It says written by Rick Faith and Doug Hoffman in 1995. Rick Faith. Yeah, in 1995. Hang on. It says a package management system designed and implemented by Rick Faith and Kevin Martin was actually started in 1993 for the bogus Linux distribution. So
Bogus
basically,
Linux.
21.
That is awesome.
Yeah. This is 21. This idea is 21 years old in terms of
And
of
we
Linux.
probably now get email that tells us that some BSD people had it before that. So
Well, maybe they did, and in that case, even that's even more stupid that it goes back even further.
welcome to the club, Microsoft.
Yeah. Anyway, so look how long it's taken them to get a shell that's worth a damn anyway. So
And
to
it's still
actually
not
have a
worth
shell.
a damn. PowerShell is horrible.
I haven't really used it, so yeah,
My God.
but I can imagine it probably.
Once in a while, I sit in front of the Windows machine and swear, and people like, "Why are you swearing?" I'm like, "I want a command line. I want to do this," and they're like, "Okay, use PowerShell," and I do that, and I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Then the swearing gets even worse.
Yeah, I haven't used it, so I can't say, but I imagine. I mean, I've in no rush to try and use it.
Well, it's kind of like I said this actually in my in the Linux Voice thing. They've said basically what open source software I like mostly depend on or something, and I said no specific software, but basically the shell. Because it does feel like when I sit in front of the Windows machine, I feel like somebody has hacked my hands off, and I'm like typing with my nose. That's basically what PowerShell feels like.
Okay.
Pretty much like Emacs, basically.
Oh, so according to this is interesting. So finally, the IRC's chipped in. Tommy Bobbins has chipped in with a history of Debian releases. Debian 0.91, which was released in January 1994, the very start of 1994. That's scary, man. I was in school and I was like, I hadn't even
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like 20 years ago. So it says this release had a simple package manager which could install and uninstall packages, and the project had grown to several dozen people by this time. So interesting. So yeah, they had their first package management system, if you like, came in 1994. So that's quite mad. Anyway, so. Meanwhile, back at the news, it looks as though the Gnome Foundation or the Gnome Foundation are under threat from Groupon, trying to trademark the term Gnome.
Well, not anymore. It's been resolved, but that happened like yesterday, I think. So basically, Groupon had some trademarks on Gnome. All in all, they had 28 pending trademarks.
Wow.
On Gnome, they wanted to have a point of sales tablet.
Okay.
And called that Gnome. Like, why the hell?
Groupon is the ones that do the discount voucher thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like, yeah, but whatever. Like, well, yeah, they can use the same. They can get the idea to use the same name. But the thing I was thinking was like, Gnome is a horrible name. Like, it's a fucking bad name for a desktop. It sounds like a little naked man sitting in a cupboard. Like, why would you call your point of sale system that? It's like, are they running out of names? Like, call it like, I don't know, God Emperor or Space Marine. And then get sued by Games Workshop.
Or just something like Jeff. Or
like Astral Claw Jeff. This is not a new project, people. It's called Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why not? So I mean, I'm just looking. I've never used Groupon. I know what it is. It's like people, get deals through vouchers and stuff. Basically, according to Wikipedia, it just says, it was founded in 2008. The company was founded. So I imagine Gnome has a lot of prior art there. And it just says a deal of the day website, which features discounted gift certificates.
Great
usable at local national companies.
Online finance. Give me a gadget word with F.
File system? No.
Yes.
Gadget word.
Great electronic online financial file system. Jeff.
Mm-hmm. That could work. All right. So this has been resolved now, anyway.
Yeah, they pulled back. So the Gnome Foundation was looking for what, like $80,000?
Wow.
Which their counsel had advised them that this would cost. for the first 10 applications. So there you go, lawyer fees.
So, I mean, according to this text, the term GNOME in the software world, anyway, has been trademarked for, 8 years. It was trademarked in 2006, which precedes the actual formation of Groupon anyway, the starting of the company. And it's been, obviously, GNOME's been around, it says, for 17 years. But it says here that it seems almost inconceivable to us that Groupon, with a turnover of annual revenue of $2.5 billion, and a full legal team and a huge engineering staff, would not have heard of GNOME as software, the GNOME project, found our trademark registration during a casual search, or even found our website. But we nevertheless got in touch with them and asked them to pick another name.
That is funny, because I can distinctly remember an episode of Faith where where they were talking about like how to do due diligence on this, and like I don't know if it was for trademark registration, but it was something like this where they were basically saying in the US you usually apparently don't do a search.
Oh, okay.
Because if you do, the whole double damages thing. Like
it's like the willful ignorance or whatever.
And somebody can prove that you looked it up.
Then you're in shit.
Then you pay like double the, like if you lose the court case, then you pay like double the damages.
Okay. Sorry. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've seen this. If you look in the IRC, Tommy Bobbins has been working hard trying to fix that picture with your face, and he's blended the Robert Redford hair onto your face.
Can you put that in the show notes?
I can, yeah. Hold on a sec. So I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to watch the you want to see the updated version. Yeah, interesting. So apparently the problem for anybody who's interested, the problem is that
the problem with Robert Redford's face.
Well, there's that, but apparently in that shot, his head is pointing down at his chest, and he's not looking up, so it's hard to.
What's Redford doing? You're saying I need a photo? Like a reference photo of me looking down?
Maybe. Let's see. So I've just put a link there. It's in the IRC as well. So he's tried to mix your hair onto that, apparently. I don't know. Maybe we can work it out.
Pull that up. That's even better. That's me with Robert Redford. Yeah,
that's pretty good. You look a bit like Oliver Kahn.
Yeah, I do actually. I do.
But Oliver Kahn didn't quite have the beard, so I don't know. You look a little bit like Oliver Kahn, yeah. Anyway, so meanwhile, I'm still looking impeccable there as Paul Newman.
You look perfect. You're just looking to the side.
Oh yeah. Excellent. So anyway, we should mention a couple of other things in the news before we get into your rant of doom. This is something to be honest, it feels like old news. Well, it is old news, but it feels kind of weird to even bother mentioning this now. But CSS had a 20th birthday on October the 10th, and there was. there's variations of this image going around.
But a month ago? Come on.
Yeah, it's a month ago. So somebody made a logo that said "Happy 20th Birthday CSS," and the CSS bit's kind of pushed out of the box, and it's that kind of common CSS joke, if you like. I suppose happy birthday to CSS.
I wonder it's that old.
Yeah, although to be honest, I am grateful for CSS in lots of ways, but it's also cost me huge portions of my life that I'll never get back.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about
this. Fucking pain in the arse.
I've been thinking. I always think in the shower. So today I was thinking about this, and I think the problem is not CSS. The problem is that when you do normal layout, you have bits that are anchored and you have bits that flow around stuff, but you have a predefined page size.
Yeah.
So all other layout works. Now on the web you don't have that. So you have text has to be able to flow, and I think that's actually the problem. The problem itself is not CSS, because actually layering that as CSS does kind of makes sense. But like the problem is there's a really shitty problem to have, because you're kind of anchoring stuff and then have the other stuff free flowing, and then make it work across all kind of different like screen sizes and like scrolling and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is a mess. I think web development's going to have to keep kind of evolving. Anyway, so
the one problem with CSS is it has two. That's what I run into whenever I do it. It has too many ways to do the same thing. I hate programming. That's why I like Python. I hate programming languages like PHP, and CSS is kind of like this as well, where you can like forge your own path. Which is great if you're awesome and you can code and you code for you and it's like the code's only for you. It's horrible if it's open source and every time you look at somebody else's code you have to like learn to think like that person, which for me usually involves, I don't know, drinking a lot to try to figure it out. It's
yeah, that is annoying. I agree. It is
Python for CSS basically.
I know it's not new anymore, but I still haven't really done much with HTML5 and CSS3 and some of the other stuff, and I've heard it's a bit better, but I don't know. I haven't actually really used it that much. One of the things I'm going to hopefully do when I get a bit more time after we finish the show is get into some of the JavaScript and CSS and HTML5 stuff.
About custom DOMs. You gotta send it to us about the DOMs.
Oh, DOM, yeah, that's right.
You know, my favorite DOMs are Papa DOMs.
I'm trying to think of a famous guy called Dom that I can think of. No, I can't.
Dom Perignon?
Dom Perignon, yeah. I've never had Dom Perignon, and to be honest, I'm not really a wine champagne guy, so it's not really.
The Kölner Dom, the Dom.
No,
there's a Dom in Hamburg, which is the big fair.
Yeah, that's true. There's got to be something. I'm going to keep thinking anyway. There used to be a player who played for Liverpool. He wasn't a fantastic player who called Dominic Matteo, but his name was Dom for short. He wasn't that brilliant.
Talking about Cologne and Carnivals yesterday. It's when the season starts 11.
Oh right, yeah.
11 on 11/11, and I got the song in my head, like the Cologne song. You know this is.
Did you have people?
Viva Colonia!
Nice. Did you? Yeah, I suppose it's different in Hanover though, or near where you are. You're in a small, like a quiet area now.
Nothing here. I know.
You don't have people trying to have sex in the bushes outside all the time, and in doorways and stuff like they do for.
You have that all around the year.
We have that all around the year. Yeah. It's a one long party here. What can I say? So, some other news. Ubuntu is now 10 years old, the Ubuntu project, which is quite impressive, really. And apparently on October the 23rd, this is, I'm just trying to check. Yeah, there we go, October the 23rd, Ubuntu turned 10, which is cool. And Scott Gilbertson wrote about it on Ars Technica. Yeah. And he says, we look back at a decade of Ubuntu, from Warty Warthog, which to be honest I never used. I was on not Sue's. I would have been on like Mandrake or something back then, or Mandrake or something. Dapper. Yeah, I did use Dapper. I don't know if I used any earlier releases. I was using other versions of Linux at the time. I was a bit slow onto the Ubuntu thing. But anyway, it says they're up to 25 million users supposedly worldwide. I don't know how they quantify that.
Yeah. That's bullshit.
Yeah, but it's come a long way. And
14.10 is out.
Yeah, exactly.
The fucking unicorn. My little Ubuntu or whatever it's called. Oh, I saw the coolest. We were at Warhammer World on the Friday before the event. Obviously, gotta do the pilgrimage, you know. Gotta go to Warhammer World, and there were this. I think a couple that were playing, and he was like. He had a Hello Kitty army, and she had a My Little Pony army with like tanks. They were amazing. They were like pink tanks with like hand-drawn, awesome, like, free hands, My Little Pony on the side.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. The My Little Pony Marines.
That's pretty cool. Meanwhile, Mitzi in the IRC mentions, I can't believe I didn't think of this, Dom DeLuise. Are you familiar with Dom DeLuise?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you've ever seen Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds and all them, he was Captain Chaos. He used to do the Captain Chaos, and he'd come like running out. Yeah, he was a very funny guy. I like Dom DeLuise. So yeah, that's pretty good. He might be the best Dom, as I said to Mitzi. Anyway, so yeah. So what else have we got then? Oh, are we up to the?
Dom Johnson is the best Dom.
Only if you spell his name Dom and not Dom.
Yeah, Dom Johnson.
Yeah, if you've got a speech impediment, maybe. I don't know. So, congrats to Ubuntu. I haven't tried 14.10 at all yet, so I will do at some point. Meanwhile, final bit of kind of news for this show, anyway,
before I launch into the rant.
Yeah, before Fab gets his, I'm going to go off and get my asbestos pants in a minute. Although, to be honest, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Matt Garrett have suspend and resume, and also resume and suspend.
Oh, give me a second. That reminds me of something. You tell the story. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Need to get some props.
Asbestos pants. So he's gone to get asbestos, but he hasn't. I don't know. We'll go and see what he's gone to get. So Fab's disappeared, leaving me to man the ship alone. Yeah, Matt Garrett, who you may know as the guy who's done a lot of power management stuff, development on Linux. He's kernel developer. He's done loads of stuff. He's worked for Canonical actually on Ubuntu. He's worked for Red Hat. He's now, I think, working for another company. But he does a lot of power management stuff in the Linux kernel. He's on the Linux Foundation technical board as well, so he's fairly well respected.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's on the Linux Foundation technical advisory board, yeah. He's he's a fairly busy guy, and he does a lot of stuff, but not too busy, it seems, to also join the FSF, the board of the FSF, and the Free Software Foundation, of course, I should say, for anyone who doesn't know. Heads of the Guardians of the GNU project and many other things, and of course the GPL, the GNU GPL in all of its forms. He's joining that. He's joining the board, and he basically seems to be saying he's joining the board because he doesn't feel there are enough. There's enough diversity in which is what we're going to get into in a second. But he doesn't feel there's enough diversity in the free software world, as he calls it. And to be fair to him, he does actually point this out that he thinks that him joining the board as like another like white male, fairly well-off person doesn't really help the diversity in any way.
Don't do it.
He wants to. Well, he says he wants to have an influence on it. He says, yeah, he's just warming up for a rant there. He says he wants to try and make a difference in policy, and anyway, but he does say people can justifiably conclude I'm making excuses here, and I can make no argument against that other than it to be asked that I am judged on my actions. In a few years, he says, I hope to be able to look back on my time at the FSF and believe that I have made a positive difference. But this may be hubris. Maybe I'm just perpetuating the status quo. If so, I absolutely deserve criticism for my choices. We'll find out in the next few years. So he is quite, self-aware of what's going on and stuff. So I think he wants to try and, he says he wants to try and encourage more diversity. Nice prop there. More diversity. So I think with that as a starting point, this is quite a good point for you to open your Ranto Fab TNT box and see how we get on then. You're going to sound like Bane. That's it.
I'm taking on Gamergate.
Perhaps he is wondering why I would shoot a man.
If you're wondering why I sound funny, it's because I'm wearing a motorcycle helmet.
Right, okay.
This only makes sense if you're watching the video. Wait.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be honest, I don't think that's, yeah.
It's one of those policeman's helmets, so you can take the...
Yeah, that is quite cool. Does it say Cyberg on it? So Cyberg?
Carberg.
Right,
okay. Watch this. Wait.
It's great for everybody on the audio.
Watch this. I am the law.
Oh wow, that is pretty cool. Yeah, okay. So just for the benefit of audio only listeners, it's got a visor that drops down that Fab's just dropped down as well.
I'm gonna take this off.
Okay. Yeah.
See, this is why I have that haircut now, because it works with the helmet.
Oh, yeah, it does actually. I don't have that problem so much. My haircut will work with any helmet pretty much. My haircut is a helmet, to be honest. At this point, I just need to reinforce my head because my haircut is pretty much is a helmet now. So
you actually do have the best haircut for wearing a helmet.
Right. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Gamergate. I for the longest time didn't really want to talk about this, but it's kind of come up with this because basically Matthew Garrett, who's a very outspoken feminist, without going too deep into this, but basically Gamergate happened, and we'll get into that in a second.
Mm.
But there was Intel had advertising, I think, on Kotaku, which is a gaming website that got a lot of shit from, in the whole Gamergate kerfuffle. And Intel pulled the advertising. So probably, I mean, Intel is very invested in gamer culture because Intel produces processors, and they do the big, it's like graphics card manufacturers, like the big the expensive high-end products nobody needs. The only people that buy those are gamers. Like if we discount enterprise, of course. And so they're kind of invested there, and so they pulled advertising. Now, I personally think they did this like every company. They were advertising there, and then there was a shitstorm on Twitter, and then the advertising department saw, oh, there's something going on, right? They saw the Gamergate thing, they looked into it, and they saw, oh, this is so such a shitstorm, toxic, we don't want to have anything to do with this, right? So they probably told the guy who makes the decisions, who has no fucking clue what Gamergate is, and some guy briefed him on the way to the fucking airport, and he was like, just pull it. That's what companies usually do. Like in that case, they pull back, so they pulled the advertising, which saw people as people saw this as Intel supporting Gamergate and being against gaming journalism. And when this happened, Matthew Garrett said he will not do any work on open source Intel drivers anymore. Now, personally, I thought that was really shitty because he's not helping when he does this, and he's not hurting Intel because, to be honest, Intel gives a shit about their open source graphics drivers, and the only people he's hurting is normal users. I mean, there's somebody else will step up, and do the drivers, but still, if that's hurting anybody, it's hurting normal open source users who are probably don't want to have anything to do with Gamergate. Now, probably, if they have Intel graphics cards, they're probably not gamers. I think that's fair to say. Especially if they have open source Intel graphics, drivers, open source drivers for Intel graphics cards. Because they can just boot into Windows if they want to do gaming.
It's true, yeah.
So I don't know. Let's get your thoughts on this before I tackle the whole Gamergate thing in its entirety.
Well, to be honest, I don't feel that informed about it. I mean, obviously, I know even people who aren't particularly techie or involved in the internet and cyberculture have seemed to be aware of Gamergate. It's kind of pervaded all of the media and everything, but I don't really feel like I know the ins and outs of it.
I'll give you a basic rundown, and of course we will get email about this, and people will say I'm wrong, just because it's that topic. So the whole basic thing started with a video game developer called Zoe Quinn, who did a game about depression, called Depression Quest. She's an indie developer. Now, there was, depending on any facet, you can go as deep as you want in this, but her game was controversial. People felt it wasn't really a game. It's written in it's kind of like a text adventure. It's written in a game engine that it's very easy to get into. That works on the web. It's like HTML games, and you basically do multiple choice, and stuff like that. So some people, like hardcore gamers, felt it wasn't really a game. It actually got on Steam. It got greenlit on Steam. People felt it shouldn't. So her boyfriend, so there was shit going off. Her boyfriend,
I knew this
ex-boyfriend, wrote a blog post about her.
I did see that.
In which she talked about her being unfaithful while they were having a relationship, and her allegedly sleeping with 5 other guys at least while he was.
One of whom was a games journalist.
Together. Now, one of them was Nathan Grayson, who I have read for years at Rock Paper Shotgun, who's now at Kotaku. So this kicked the whole shitload. Now, she was bullied and threatened, and there were rape threats, actual rape threats, actual people threatened to murder her. And now the people that are on the so-called Gamergate side, which everybody calls a movement, which is complete bullshit. This is one of my beefs with this. People are equating a hashtag to a movement, which it's not. It doesn't have a leader. There's no leader. It's like calling Anonymous. I mean, Anonymous is kind of a movement, but it's misleading to say that, because anybody can claim to be part of Anonymous and do anything. Like, if some asshole can claim, like, can actually do rape threats on Twitter and then hashtag that with Gamergate. Now, at that point, like, that hashtag's burned. Like, if that's a movement, you can't police it. You can't do anything against that. So I actually don't like to use the hashtag, because you may immediately get put into a corner. Now, the people that are usually associated with this hashtag said there is a problem in games journalism. This raised to this ironic, it's all about ethics in games journalism, which is what people said. Now, my problem with and from this is the core issue, and then it just spirals in any direction. Like, I actually had a fight on Twitter at some point. I was actually on a break on a 3-hour motorbike ride. I'm in a McDonald's getting coffee, and I just saw a tweet and just replied to it offhand, and got into a fight with FreeBSD girl on Twitter, who's actually one of your calls on Floss.
On Floss, yeah.
Now, she was saying that her boyfriend had leaked, Zoe Quinn's boyfriend had leaked naked pictures of her that she made it sound like he'd taken it in her bedroom, and then, a kind of revenge porn thing. When actually, I actually researched this topic, and I feel kind of bad I did, but it's what I do. Actually, Zoe Quinn did, like, years ago, I think in 2007 or something, she did nude pictures for I don't know, some website that's now defunct, or several websites actually. They're kind of like Suicide Girls, that kind of thing. Like no porn, but like full on naked.
Yeah, well, I believe the term is, I don't know if they use it in other countries, but we have things like I'm trying to think, like Page 3 in some so-called newspapers will be a girl with a no top on, basically, and they call it glamour modeling. I'm not really sure why. I think it's just code. I think it's code. Yeah. But I think, to be honest, it's not really descriptive of what it is. It's just to make everyone feel better about it, I think. So
in Germany, actually, Bild does this on the front page. It's actually below the fold, which is horrible. But But the thing is, like, I don't mind that. Like, she did that back then. She got money for it. Yeah, the problem is, I think she feels bad about it, and she wanted those pictures to disappear. Now, those websites are all offline. Now, of course, what FreeBSD girl meant when she said he posted those pictures, actually Reddit or somebody, or probably 4chan, dug this up. Like, people on, it's the internet, for fuck's sake. Archive.org. If I ever put, like, naked pictures of me on the internet,
they're never going to go away.
I did at one point on Identity. I have a topless avatar. Yes.
Topless? Yeah, not naked, though. Not like full frontal.
No.
There was no chili nuts involved.
Well, you couldn't see, so it could have been. I'm not gonna.
Not on the screen. If you can't see
comment. The picture. No, not on the screen.
I can take a picture of myself naked, but if you can only see my face in the picture, what does it matter? That's kind of weird.
So basically, that caused enough outrage mostly with Becky Newborough as it was, so I pulled that avatar. But you can find that probably out there. Archive.org. So they found her pictures and
I'm looking for that now. Hold on.
It's just stuff like that. What pisses me off about Gamergate is that on any of these, like, there's just so much people being wrong and saying wrong things. And then I just pointed out, no, that actually wasn't the case because she sold those pictures. And then immediately I get branded like as an evil guy who attacks women, like who hates women. I was just saying a fact, like I was just correcting somebody. But this is what I hate about this topic is basically everybody's wrong now, and this will be the rant to rant all rants probably. Although I'm not angry enough about it because I've thought too much about it. Maybe I need to drink more. Let me get in the Angron spirit. World eater, world eater, world eater.
Okay, so I actually did know more about this story than I thought I did, because I did know about the pictures thing, and I read about the journalism and all the rest of it. What I don't understand is, so far we haven't got that far into the story. I realize that, but what I don't understand is why people started attacking her in the first place for something that's, I just don't get that part of it. And there's lots of other things I don't get, but basically just because they're assholes, why?
Yes, the internet. It's the internet. It's full of assholes.
Right.
We know this.
Okay.
I have both had in the last, even before Links Outlaws, I have both had death threats on the internet, as well as was accused of death threats.
Oh, sending death threats.
Yeah. Remember in the forum when somebody said, somebody was basically, it was the whole Lunduk thing. It's like, and
oh yes,
I was gonna say if he said that to my face, I've got to break his arm.
I remember that. Yeah.
People then said I was trying to kill him, which So I've been on both ends of this. Now the people are idiots. There's more facets. I'll get into that in a second. Okay. First, I want to say my general problem with Gamergate is everybody's wrong. Everybody is literally, no, not literally, but pretty much everybody on this topic is wrong. There's very few people, and I talked to Fuzel, for example, on Identica, Gina, and while she's a woman, she sees things differently than me. We kind of agreed on this point as well. And she's basically the only person, like her and Katie is probably, funnily enough, two women. Pretty much the only two people I know that I think are right on this. Anyway, so everybody's wrong. The Gamergate people, these people are obviously wrong. Right? If you threaten violence to anybody on the internet, the problem is we don't even, my problem is I didn't get it, for the first few weeks. I was like, why do we even have to talk about this? Of course it's wrong. We have laws against this. We have laws against this in Germany, in the UK, in the US. It is wrong. If that happens to you, go to the police. They can find these people. Twitter, the very few people on Twitter actually signed up there anonymously. I'm willing to bet these 16-year-old boys in their bedrooms that do this, they didn't sign up to Twitter anonymously. Go to the police. Let the police investigate them. I think in the US it's actually the FBI who does this. They'll subpoena Twitter, and it's been done. In the UK, it didn't take him 6 hours. The guy who burned poppies, somebody called the cops on him. They figured out who he was. They arrested him.
There's been a lot of cases of this, yeah.
So in Germany, it is obviously wrong. We have laws against this. There are laws on the books. We don't have to discuss about the fact that it's wrong. Now, we can have that discussion, right? But not inside of this Gamergate thing. I think we can have that discussion, but I think, to me personally, I think it's a boring discussion because I don't think it's about women. I think men get the same kind of shit on the internet. The problem is, I think generally, and this will sound like gender bias, but I really think this is the case. And I've kind of talked with Katie a lot about this, trying to figure out why this is. But I think it's just the case that men deal with that differently. If as a generally speaking, as a man, if you get threatened, your first reaction is to threaten them right back. It's that school
fight fire with fire.
It's just that mentality. You learn as a boy, you learn on the school playground, you basically learn you have to stand up to people, right? Otherwise, you just get beaten into the ground. And that's not the same for everyone. And there are there are sensitive people out there, sensitive men, women, whatever, doesn't matter.
Of course.
But I think men generally deal with this differently. That doesn't mean threatening them is okay, which is my point. Like everybody at the moment is calling focus on women, and yeah, maybe that has to be. But it's to me that discussion is not interesting. It's obviously wrong. There are laws against this. Like if you have half a brain, you know that this is wrong. You do not, you do not threaten somebody. But the other problem is lots of this is actually not threatening. Like Anita Sarkeesian has, she's been actually threatened, but there's also been people citing, like, basically when somebody says, well, I know where you live, and then posting their address. That's not a threat, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is because I live in Germany, and we actually have a law on the books that if you run a blog, you have to put an address with that, and my blog has my address on there. So that is... You can get a P.O. box, for example. I can't get a P.O. box because they're all run out here at the post office. So, so it is. And in the US, it's the same thing. I did a research class, at the beginning of the year when I was at that thing, the Black Ops training.
Yeah.
Right. So we basically learned how, like, in the US, you can find anything about anybody. Like, the US is crazy. They put all kinds of paperwork on the internet. Like, you can find out where somebody lives, then you can find out what their house cost, right? We tracked down a German politician who has a house in Florida. We figured out exactly where his house was. We figured out when his rubbish gets emptied, on what day. We figured out.
This is what Freaky Clown tends to do, isn't it? I've seen him do his talk about
you can do this about anything. This is so knowing where somebody lives and saying that is maybe shit. And it might feel threatening to you, but that is not threatening. Like, if that goes into court, the judge, at least in Germany, is going to say, well, yeah, they figured out where you live. That in itself is not a threat. Now, there are threats going on there, but there's also a lot of stuff where people are saying, well, that was a rape threat, where it wasn't. Rape threats are a horrible thing. Rape is a horrible thing. That is true. But if somebody says, well, you ought to get, like, fucked, right? That's not a rape threat. It's a bad thing to say. It's a shitty thing to say. It's a scumbag comment, but that is not a rape threat. Like, if you call the police, this is not going to hold up in court as a rape threat, unless you put something. And there were rape threats, but it's all this being wrong all over the place. People misreporting stuff. Anyway, Gamergate people are wrong. Now, the other side is also wrong. The journalists are wrong, and the so-called social justice warriors, feminists, are wrong. I think the feminists are wrong because we talked about this. I'm for equality, actual equality, which means I don't I aspire to live my life. It doesn't always work, and you have to try, but I aspire to live my life in a way that if somebody comes in a room, somebody's on the internet, somebody does something, I don't want to care if they're male or female. It gets a bit easier when you've lived in a happy relationship for like 12 years and you're married and you're not chasing skirts all the time, It gets easier, but it's I try to do that with color of skin. I try to do that with
other things,
with disabled people.
Disability,
It is hard sometimes, but I try to do this, and I think that's equality. I think that's what we need. The problem is, most feminists don't actually want that. They want what I think they want: revenge for thousands of years of male dominancy in the species, which is understandable at some point, but it's not constructive. It's not going to help. Like, okay, in Germany, for example, we have lots of quotas. Like, there's employment quotas. They're trying to get
positive discrimination, I believe it's called, which I'm not sure is ever positive. I'm not sure discrimination is ever really positive.
All my life, this has been going on since the 70s in Germany, before I was alive, and it doesn't work. It does not work. We still have too few executives that are women. So I that kind of stuff. So I don't believe in that.
And the pay gap and stuff as well.
Right.
So
which we have laws against in Germany, so it shouldn't be there, but it's still there. I don't know what we can do there, but I think they're right. I think these.
That needs to be fixed, definitely.
I was fighting with people, after I wrote that. We talked about that blog post, the very first Anita Sarkeesian thing I wrote, and I wrote a thing for Heise. And I fought with people on Twitter who literally call themselves social justice warriors. Like, I think these people they have a mental problem. They are insane. First of all, this isn't a war. So why the fuck do you call yourself a warrior? Okay, I can get past that. Sometimes I pretend I'm a space marine. It's okay. But then the whole social justice thing, like they don't understand what justice is. Like, revenge is not justice. Like, to say, well, or it's like they throw around things like, in this rape culture, right? And they're talking about the UK or Germany or whatever, right? We don't live in a rape culture. I'm sorry. Yes, there's too many rapes going on, because if there's one a year, it's too many, right?
Yeah.
But this is not a rape culture. If you're in fucking Iraq right now and you're living under ISIS rule and you're a Christian Muslim, that's rape culture. That is rape culture. Stuff that's going on in Africa, that's rape culture. In the Roman times, there was actual rape culture. So to say we live in rape culture, this is insane. These people are insane. So basically, those people are insane, and the Gamergate people are insane. Now, we come to my favorite subject. Sorry, am I boring you?
No, I am listening.
Now we come to my favorite subject, my own profession, gaming journalist. Well, I'm not a gaming journalist, but, I haven't been doing this for very long, but, for what it's worth, gaming journalists. Now... The thing with Gamergate, when everybody says it's about ethics and gaming journalism, I don't want to put myself in the Gamergate camp, but I do think, and I can't say this on Twitter, I get shouted at. It's ridiculous. I literally get called a rapist for this, which is insane. But I think gaming journalism has a huge problem, and gaming journalism isn't alone. Like when we did that course, when you do journalism training, the thing they always bring up is car journalists. They are beholden to the company. With car journalists, to some extent, I understand this, because if you're reviewing cars, you cannot always buy the newest BMW because it costs 60,000 euros. And even as a publishing house, you can't buy these. Now, with gaming journalists, even though they don't usually pay for their games, like I listen to lots of gaming journalist podcasts, for example, and they brag about their Steam Press account and that they basically never have to buy games. Well, I think that's a problem, and that's unreasonable, I think, because if you work for PC Gamer, you don't need a Steam Press account. Like, if you work for PC Gamer, I mean, journalism is not as good an industry as it was. Like, we're all running out of money, but still, I believe future publishing can pay for every game you play in a year, because most of them cost like £12, right? If you pay for all of that, you're not even close to that BMW. But okay, that happens. I personally think that's a problem, but still, like, we have the same thing at CT. We get games for free. At CT, actually, we will, with products, we'll get products, and then we'll want to review all of them in the range, and then we actually buy the ones we don't get. Which, yeah. That's a problem. What I think is even worse is, like, with gaming journalism, it's the whole exclusive thing. Like, basically, to have a review that's out on the day the game comes out, you are beholden to the company. They can cut you off. And gaming companies do the same thing that Apple does. They kick people out. And gaming journalists are unconsciously, most of the time, so afraid of this that actually the company doesn't even have to threaten them. It's like this in Germany. There's actually there's a term for this called vorauseilender Gehorsam. It stems from the Nazi Reich, because the Nazi Reich operated. The Gestapo couldn't actually control all the people. Like, the SS couldn't control everybody in Germany, and they couldn't even tell them what to do most of the time. So basically, a lot of the hierarchy of Hitler Germany worked on a system where basically you would presume what the Führer wanted, right? You presumed what the party wanted, and you actually, they didn't even have to threaten you. You knew that people were being dragged out of their houses, right? So you kind of complied by yourself without even having to have SS people around.
Yeah.
Because you knew shit could happen, and this is how lots of like this. It might be a crass example, but like this is like if you know that you can get cut off, and it happens to people from other publications, you will kind of try to appease, like, let's say EA or the publisher, whatever, whoever's game you're reviewing, because you're afraid of wanting to get cut off. And if you're cut off and everybody has a review out on release date, then you're fucked. Now,
nobody reads it anymore.
Yeah, this leads to horrendous NDAs. This leads to gaming journalists, and my God, alone this year, I could, like, if I sat down, I could give you a list of 15 titles where this happened, where big titles, the game comes out, glowing reviews. The reviewers probably only get to play like one level in the game, which was the best level, right? If you want to know how this works, listen to Crate and Crowbar. It's an amazing podcast. They're all like veterans. They worked with PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, awesome people. But they go on about how this works, and then they don't even want to they don't want to damn themselves. But I've been listening to this podcast where they're kind of damning themselves without even knowing. Like, and then what happens is like a week later or like half a week later, you get the actual review. When they actually got to play it and they figure out it's shit.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. Yeah, but they didn't want to say that.
Well, or they couldn't, like, or they didn't know because they agreed to terms where they couldn't possibly know, where the company didn't let them see this, because right now there's stats on this, like PR people outnumber journalists 5-1. This is why journalism is so shit. This is one of the big reasons. It's actually not the journalists' fault. They have no chance because everybody's going along with this. It's like ruining, especially game journalism, really big shit right now. It's ruining this. This is horrible. And let's talk about Rock Paper Shotgun. So I'm listening to like an older episode months ago, and they had a listener question where they were asked, and these are all like these are some of these people were like executive, like the chief editor-in-chief or assistant editor-in-chief for PC Gamer, like the magazine, right? And they had a listener question coming in. What would you do if there were no games? And they were all saying, well, I would probably clean toilets, whatever. And one of them says, I'd be a real journalist. I was a local journalist before. And like the other four people go, whoa, you mean you actually had to find stories? I wouldn't even know how that works. You go out, find stories. One of them actually says, honest to God, says, and this wasn't a joke, says, well, with gaming journalism, you can't do that. Like, you basically have to take what the company gives you. Like, there's even if you try it, there's no way you could figure out the other stuff. Like, you could dig into that stuff and dig out the real story. And I'm listening to this, I'm going, you just admitted that you don't even try to be a journalist. What? Who the fuck do you think you are? A PR fucking monkey? I mean, this is the problem. I don't give a fuck about Zoe Quinn. Like, I don't give a damn if she slept with guys and that her boyfriend is sore. Who gives a fuck? Literally, who gives a fuck? But I want to be on Twitter. I want to be able to say that gaming journalism has a problem. And I can't anymore because of fucking Gamergate. I say that, and they're like, oh, you're defending the Gamergate people. Oh, you hate women. Yes, for fuck's sake. This is driving me up the fucking wall. Anyway, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, well, obviously it's a complicated situation, but I think there are a number of different things here. For a start, people just basically attacking this girl for the sake of it, or for it seems to be for the sake of it. They're not trying to defend journalism. They're just trying now to retrospectively add a cause or a legitimate reason to what they've done to these people, or they're trying to do to these people. And it's not, as you say, it's not a movement. It's, abusing, giving people abuse, verbal or otherwise, or whatever. And then claiming that afterwards, oh, it was because of a reason, that's clearly ridiculous and that's wrong. And obviously they're just using that as a cover. But I think also at the same time, I do think you're right that there isn't any real I mean, I don't read a lot of gaming. I certainly didn't read any gaming magazines, for example, but I don't read a lot of gaming blogs and stuff. But it does feel a bit like it's just an extension of the. Most of them feel like they're an extension of the marketing department of whatever game they happen to be talking about. In a lot of cases, and clearly that's clearly that's not right. Yeah.
The problem with the Gamergate and the Zoe Quinn and the Nathan Grayson thing is there is actually a problem there, which I don't want to concentrate on because, as you said, you can't right now because it looks like you're retroactively trying to help the Gamergate people. But
I think there is a problem, yeah.
Between you and me, there is a problem where, like, especially indie devs and game journalists are way too close. Like they like the people, the stuff 4chan dug up when Grayson was saying, "Well, I didn't even meet her," and they were like taking up videos of like all these games journalists and indie devs like drinking together in a bar, like at Penny Arcade Expo or whatever, like, and they're hanging around all the time. I try to actively stay away from fucking security company PR people. I don't even want to see them. I don't want them to, I mean, it's kind of, I think the problem is it's kind of hard because, like, we did this on LO. Like, I did this. I like open source developers, and I hang out with them, and I kind of wanted to get to know them. But on the other hand, that was, while we were doing it, I was never actually seeing LO as, like, serious journalism.
Serious news show, yeah.
Writing for Heise, I wouldn't really want to do that. I mean, you want connections. You want the ability to hear things first. It's kind of cool if you know Leonard Pettering and he can tell you stuff. But on the other hand, also those are not, like, they don't have, like, PR departments, whatever. Yeah, but on the other hand, I hang out with Jan Wildeber from time to time, and
he's definitely a PR man. I mean, I like Jan, we're friends and all that, but there's no way I would ever call him impartial on anything to do with Red Hat. And I think, to be fair, that's his job, so fair enough. But as long as we accept that, then fine.
Yeah, and if I interview him from Linux Outlaws, people know what's like. I'm drunk while I do this fucking show, right? You know what I'm doing. But if I write a piece for CT, I need more than one viewpoint. This is how journalism works. And if I only have one viewpoint, I have to very clearly state, if I wrote an article in CT about something from Red Hat and I had my information from Jan Wildeboer, right, and I didn't have any other source, couldn't get anything else, and he would tell me how awesome it is, I would state in there, first of all, I would make clear that this information is from him. He works for the company, and in what circumstance I got it. Because this is really important. And gaming journalism has that problem. They're not the only ones. It's just I'm interested in gaming, right? I listen to a lot of gaming shows. I read a lot of gaming publications, and as you said, the stuff you read in there, that makes me appalled. That makes me ashamed of my profession. It makes, for some of these people, it literally makes me ashamed that they have the same job title as me.
Well, I was going to say they're not, they're journalists in name only, really, aren't they? I think if that's the case.
But people don't know that. People don't.
Yeah, true. Well, not being so close to all of this and not having followed up on it. I don't know, maybe you can answer this or not. The original kind of... I haven't looked into all of these... I haven't read into all of the stuff that was said and all of the different things that were posted and so on. So the way I saw it, and this may or may not be true, is that people attacking this girl for all kinds of different things in horrible ways. Later on, people then tried to say it was about journalism and ethics. Or was that right at the start? Because, I mean, to me, the two arguments are different. If you're worried about the journalism and the ethics, which, as we're saying, is a problem, why would you do it? Why would you go about it in such a way that completely destroys your argument to a lot of people? You've just totally fucked your own argument, to be honest. So anybody who really believed in that wouldn't do that. And I think it is it just a case of assholes being assholes and then claiming they're part of the movement against the journalists, or what? I don't know.
I think you can't divvy this up. I think you can't figure it out. I think there are people that are just being assholes. And I think there were actually people that read that blog post from my boyfriend and went, woo. Right? I read whatever, Nathan Grayson, whatever the other guys, I read his articles. I feel my trust betrayed, and then dug into that story out of the interest, not like ethics in gaming journal. Like ethics is such a big word, but they were interested in that facet. A lot of people were basically just because it's yellow press story kind of thing, but other people were like, oh my god, this is going on, and what other stuff is there? And I think you can't tell that apart. And some of these were just 16-year-old boys as well, and they were stupid. Like they can't form words in a way that doesn't make the idea. Like they attacked people, and they wrote brashly, and and all this got minced together, and then they destroyed their own argument. You know what I mean? So some of these people are shit. And then there were other people, I think, who actually wanted to look into this, and even though I wouldn't stoop to that. Like I wouldn't. I don't give a damn. I don't take that as a sword. Who slept with whom? Like who gives a fuck? Literally.
Who cares? Exactly.
But there are people who got into that, but then they got mixed up with the assholes, and then they got discredited. But there's a guy who when we talked about, I think we talked about this on the show, that the guy from Breitbart dug out. This is all part of this, like an internal mailing list of games journalists. I had a discussion about that on Twitter today again. Basically, I can't fathom. So it was an internal mailing list where they discussed. Apparently, they discussed a lot of other things as well. But this guy dug out some emails where they were basically talking about Anissa Sarkeesian and if this should be publicized. And then Kyle Orland, who used to write for Ars, is now at Penny Arcade, I think, or Kotaku as well. I don't know. And he was like, "Yeah, we need to publicize this, whatever." Or and I can't fathom. Like I would never. I don't know. I've been thinking about this all day, and I can't think I would do this. Join a mailing list with authors from other publications. I mean, the press only works if there's competition. Not to mention that I wouldn't want to tell them what we're publishing, what not. Like, I wouldn't be on a mailing list with fucking Computer Build and debating with them what we're publishing. Like, that's, first of all, that's my decision if I'm writing, and then it's the chief editor's decision if we're publishing that, right? And I'm not telling anybody else. Like, if I think Anissa Sarkeesian is a topic and I want to write a story because I think it needs to be elevated into the public view, then I do that, and I debate that with my colleagues, and I talk to our editorial team with 30 years of experience. I don't go talk to fucking some other guy at another publication. Whoa, what goes on in these people's brains? I don't get it. Like,
yeah, it is a bit of a, I don't know.
Basically, I wanted to address one thing from the IRC struggles with, I think, says, isn't it impossible to be completely unbiased? We're not robots. And I completely agree with you, Struggleswick. It's not about being unbiased. Like, I've always thought my approach to journalism is nobody's unbiased. There is no objective writing. Objective writing is an ideal you can aspire to, but you will never reach it, right? It's like traveling to the end of the universe. You can get infinitely close, but you're infinitely far away as well. That doesn't work. But what you need to do is, you basically, there's one simple rule in journalism: you serve your reader, right? So you want to be transparent with, you want to disclose your allegiances, you want to disclose who you know, if it's relevant to the story, you want to be transparent about where you're coming from, and your own bias will go into the story no matter what, right? Because that, if I write an article, that's the framing of the article. I write it from my head. So let's say I'm writing about the new Windows package manager, right? I think that's crap. I think we had that for 20 years, and that's going to inform my writing. But I will still have to go. I will have to go to Microsoft's documentation. I will have to talk to a Microsoft person, ask them about this. I will actually actively search out somebody who is, like, if I was writing that article, I would try, if I had the time and I want to write a good article, which I want, I would try to seek out somebody who's passionate about this, and try to get their opinion, and then I can contrast that, and I can say, well, Microsoft says this is the best thing ever, and Microsoft says this is innovative, and then I can say, well, I don't think so, blah blah blah. The point is, to do that about a game, if you do a game review, you need to feel like you have a good basis for that. And with a game, I personally only can do that if I play the whole game. Like, I would not write a review or even a preview, probably, which is why I'm not a gaming journalist, on basis of going to a company, them sitting me in a room with 20 other journalists, and then letting me play one level of the game with a PR person behind me and saying, do this, do that. Right? And if I wanted to say, well, I want to play that level, I want to go off here, I want to see what breaks if I do this. And if they don't let me do that, I would not write that story. Now, that wouldn't work, and I would probably get ordered to write that story, right? Because my company sent me there, but then I would put in the story my objections and what I think. I would say, well, what I saw is a good game, but I only saw this level, and they didn't let me go over that direction. Could be that, Alien Isolation, for example, which turned out to be a good game, but still, they will only let them play one level, and like the xenomorph wasn't even there all the time. Like, I wouldn't want. That's the integral thing about the game. That AI, I want to play with that AI for 20 minutes, and or 2 hours if I need to. And if they don't let me, I can't review the game properly. And this is hard. I know this is bad. Like, this is the same in Germany. I talked to a colleague who does gaming stuff, and he worked at another publication. He told me a story about how he wrote a review and handed it in, and his editor-in-chief said, you can't publish this. Can't publish this. This company gives us review copies. They advertise with us. You need to rewrite this. Make this more positive. Like, at that point, I would say, no, I'm not putting my name on this. Let somebody else write this article. CT had, talking about pulling advertisers, talking about Intel, actually. I think this was Intel. CT, this was years ago. The first Opteron or something came out, right? So CT wrote an article about how Intel is and was a huge advertiser with CT. So a colleague wrote a very favorable review because it was cool about this AMD processor, because it was awesome and it was gonna take on Intel. So Intel said, I think I'm not quite sure, but it was basically, do not publish this, or we pull advertising. And our editor-in-chief back then, I think I can tell all of this because they actually publicized this back then, because even now, but their old editor-in-chief was a proper hard nose. The guy from Spider-Man, Chris Cruson, whatever his name is.
J. Jonah Jameson.
He was, yeah. Right. I'm always calling him Chris Cruson because that's an actual journalist on Twitter who has him as his avatar. For fuck's sake. That's how it's got in my... Anyway, he was that kind of guy, and he went, no, fuck it. He actually publicized this. Intel didn't advertise for us for 2.5 years, I think. We literally lost, I think, millions of euros in advertising revenue. They had to it went on till they changed the head of Intel Europe. When they got a new CEO of Intel Europe, they reversed that. It cost us a lot of money. And, people were saying to the Intel thing, I was talking to somebody from Crate and Crowbar on Twitter who was saying, well, this is, you can't support Intel in this because this is what destroys journalism. This destroys editorial integrity, which is crap. Like, an advertiser it's a bullshit. Like, this guy is deputy editor of PC Gamer. What the fuck? An advertiser, I love him. It's Chris Thurston, he's awesome, but he's wrong in this point. An advertiser can pull out whenever they want. Editorial integrity comes in when they do. When they threaten you to pull out, and you say, you back down, then your editorial integrity is fucked. If you say, we don't give a fuck, our readers are the ones who pay our salary, the readers are the ones we need to serve, and you publish it anyway, then you have editorial integrity. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think... Here's a rant.
Yeah, it's definitely a rant. I think, to be honest, to kind of sum it up, I think I mean, I've read quite a bit about this, more than, I mean, I say I don't really know the story that well, and I'm sure I don't, compared to people in the IRC who seem to know like everything about this. I would say I don't know it that well, but knowing what I do know about it and having read the things I've read and so on, I think I would agree with you that basically, and we kind of agreed on this in the IRC. I've been chatting away to people there. Well, maybe not everyone agrees, but some people seem to agree that basically there are people on both sides or on all sides, and maybe more than two sides to this, who are just acting like assholes, basically, on all sides of this, and clearly everybody is, slightly wrong in this, and I think you're right. Your point that everybody is wrong to some degree is a fair one. I think it's difficult to make it because they've tried to make it. People do this. They try and make things into a war and a crusade and whatever. And it doesn't matter which side you think you're on. Things are very rarely won and lost at wars. Even wars are very rarely won and lost.
Yeah.
Often both sides kind of lose.
We kind of lost World War II pretty much, but yeah.
Oh, fair enough. All right, but I'm thinking of something like, say, Vietnam. You could argue still. Yeah. I mean, depending on which side you're on, people will argue who won that one. But I don't think this sounds such a hippie thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think when you do this, when you go to war, when you make important issues as as things like fair treatment of all of people, whether they're whatever gender, race, disability, anything like that, sexual orientation, fair treatment of people depending on who they are. That's a really important issue. So is things like journalism, is things like integrity. And when you go to war over these things, everybody loses. Everybody loses in war. So I really want to play Edwin Starr right now. What is it good for? Good God, yo. Because it's kind of true. So
let's play the Bruce Springsteen version. I like that.
Yeah, when you go to war, everybody kind of loses. So I don't think anybody's helping their cause.
As he says in that song, only the Undertaker wins or something.
Yeah. Only friend is the Undertaker. Yeah.
I don't.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm laughing because Tommy Bobbins, I said that was a hippie thing to say, and it is a hippie thing to say, but people are now sending me clips from South Park, such as the Cartman hates hippies.
Yeah.
So I just had this one from Tommy Bobbins. There you go. I'll see if I can work this in properly with it working. Here we go, yeah. Is that going to work?
You hippie!
Screw you, hippie. There you go. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I don't get so many things about this. Like, I've been debating this in the cafeteria with a colleague of mine, like before I went on holiday, for literally months, right? It started with the Anita Sarkeesian thing and the blog post I wrote, and my blog post basically said that I don't get that. I don't get why people go on about like these games are so misogynistic, and I think that the word is used a lot. That actually means hate, hate of women, and I think that's very strong. I think there's a lot of bad treatment of women and despicable treatment, but that doesn't necessarily mean hate. But whatever, like people go on about that, yet they don't give a fuck about the same thing in movies. To a lesser extent in books. Like if that goes on, like have you read Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett?
I haven't.
You know how many rape scenes are in that book? And that book's considered art by a lot of people. Like, that's considered proper literary, proper, part of literature. Literature is the word. And people don't care about that. Then they don't care about the violence in video games, mostly. Like, okay, there are people that care about that, but they don't care about that as strongly. And what grinds my gears and why I get so mad about this and I always debate this on Twitter is it basically all comes down to hypocrisy. Like, I just see that the people that in this moment are going on about hatred of women if there was hatred of men, they don't give a fuck. The people who go on about there's wars, they go on about, how bad it is if the Russians go into Ukraine. They don't give a fuck if the Americans go to Iraq, right? And killing people is killing people. And it is fucking hypocrisy. Just makes me mad. Bad treatment of people is bad, period. It doesn't matter if it's in a movie. And the question is it actually bad in a movie or in a video game? That is the question I asked with my blog post. And I don't actually think it is insofar as that is not as long as it's not real, right? I don't like if I personally think we should make more video games where like you slap women around, whatever, if people want that, and we should actually care about that happening in real life, right? And you should care about rape threats on Twitter as much as you do when you walk down the street and there's somebody mistreating and slapping his wife around, right? All these people that are shout very loudly on Twitter, their like balls retract right into their bodies when they see something like this happen in real life.
Oh god,
that just fucking pisses me off so much. This fucking hypocrisy. My fucking god.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I do know a lot of I do know a lot of people who actually I've had this discussion with people in the past. It's very easy, and it's very easy to sit and post stuff on Twitter and feel like you're doing something useful. I mean, like posting stuff like, "Oh, isn't this terrible?" and posting things that and your displeasure with certain things. But then there are real horrible things going on in the world that we should probably deal with first.
Yeah.
In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the actual disgraceful kind of treatment of women in many parts of the world right now needs to be dealt with. And maybe we should deal with that as and treat that as seriously as people treat some other things, like
fucking
someone's sending them an insult
in a game.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, they're not real women in that game. Just like the people I shoot in Call of Duty, as if I play Call of Duty, but they're not.
I haven't played Call of Duty.
When I play Dawn of War and I am a commissar and I executing my own people, they're not real people.
I want to see if I can get us banned on YouTube for one final time. So. Absolutely. Good God, y'all. Anyway, that's probably enough of that. Say it again, y'all.
Anyway, do you still have space on the recorder for emails?
I have 15 minutes left. Let's do it. Let's see if we can do this.
Okay, that was your rant. Let me start with the first quick stuff, and then you do emails as long as your recorder does.
I think we can get through.
We got some feedback on us ending the show, of course. #Outlaws Law Stand. I'm gonna put a link in the show notes to the hashtag. Some amazing stuff in there. I must say, it did warm the cockles of my heart. I really enjoyed reading people being sad, but also people remembering. People telling us how we got them into Linux, how we got them into podcasting, listening to podcasts, how we actually got them to start podcasts. Is so amazing, and it's just like that's great, and I love that. There's a thread on the Saloon on the 365 episode. Lots of nice comments on there. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. Really lovely feedback. I must say, it does seem like at least the people giving us feedback, so the people writing, to a majority agree that they actually like the banter. And listen to a show that's not so Linux-centric and not so news-centric.
That's good.
Which I think is good, so at least we'll have those on board next year. And speaking of the Saloon, there's now an OccCamp category because we want to open up OccCamp a bit more. With LO going away, that is also very timely. And if you want to help, you can go in there. We need, OccCamp is not LO and Ubuntu Podcast. OccCamp is literally every year just the people that volunteer to do it, and you can be part of them. So go in there, tell us where the next OccCamp should be, what you would do,
and give us ideas and stuff. That is really important, actually, to get people involved in that. And I say this fully aware of the fact that I haven't really been involved in that discussion yet on the at least on the Saloon, and I will get into it. But if you've got ideas you suggest, you want to help, you want to get involved, That's very cool. Please do that. All right, and so emails. I'll see how many of these I can get through. I can probably actually do it pretty quickly. So the reason I'm saying pretty quickly is because when I started, I thought 2 hours and whatever it is, 8 minutes would be enough, and now I've got like 30 minutes.
Well, we have a lot of emails, so we'll just do the other ones next show.
Yeah. There's a lot of firstly, as you said, a big thank you to everyone who sent us emails and commented in tweets. And I mean, I think you said this as well. My phone was just like, I had to put it down because I couldn't keep it in my pocket because it kept my leg was shaking off. I mean, as enjoyable as that was, it wasn't really the right time or place for that. So thank you to everybody.
I hear you. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
The first one, actually, the first email I want to mention came in before we announced all the news and the last stand and stuff. So this one's got nothing to do with that, so I'll quickly mention this one. Nigel Poulton sent us an email. It says, gents, I'm a fan of the show, blah, blah, blah. So I'll skip that bit, but thank you, Nigel, for that. He says, anyway, a while back now, I remember you mentioning a badass CIA crypto division logo. He says, well, check out the logo for check out the logo I designed for In Tech We Trust podcast. I don't know that one, but In Tech We Trust, check it out. I challenge anyone to have a better techie logo. And he put the picture on there, so I'll put a link in the show notes if people want to check
Definitely covered a lot of bases there. He's got a command prompt. He's got a Wi-Fi signal. He's got a power cable, an Ethernet cable, one of the wings from the Zelda thing on the Zelda shield.
Yeah.
I don't even recognize the other one. There is a mobile phone with Android on it. There is, of course, an eagle. There's shit I can't read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to look at the logo, have a look in the show notes at sixgun.org for this show. All right then, and now some of the reaction stuff. I'm going to skip. I'm going to shorten some of these emails, but a big thank you to everyone who sent us emails. And if you did email us and you haven't heard us mention it, as Fab said, we're going to do some of this in future in the other shows that are left. So Frank Bell wrote to us, who hasn't written in a while, but long-time listener, and he's written many emails over time. He said, I just saw Fab's announcement that you are going to be riding off into the sunset. Thank you for all you've done over the years. LO has been one of my favorite Linux podcasts, has long been my favorite Linux podcast, and I will miss your perspective on Linux and occasionally world events. As a resident of the USA, which seems to be becoming progressively or regressively, he says in brackets, more parochial every year. I also appreciated your much more cosmopolitan perspectives on the news. Thanks especially for
more of that next year.
You will, yeah. Thanks especially for those ingredients so rare in tech podcasts, humor and much laughter. Best wishes and happy trails. So thank you to Frank for that. And rants, yeah, thanks for that. So Barry Williams, aka Basil Will, who we've had a few times. I'm quickly going to read this. He says, being it's traditional, I will quickly try and read it in an Australian accent. Not anything like Barry's voice at all. But here we go. It says, "Hey guys, thanks for the 7 years of time and dedication, and I support your decision to let LA wind up in your time. Take a well-earned break and some time to figure out what you want to come back with." Or not come back, or not. He says that would also be understandable. As a counterpoint to the naysayers, I love the shows no matter the topic. I love the show no matter the topic of discussion, and I'm sure I'll be listening no matter what you come back with. I've even listened to Angels of Death for a time until you almost talked me into taking up the hobby, or at least getting very addicted at the very least adding the books to my already unmanageable to-read list. Thanks again from Australia, Barry Williams, aka Bazzy Wilson. Thanks to Baz for that. Yeah, I think you should quickly read this next one because it concerns something that you.
Gary says, everything dies, baby, that's a fact. But maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Mm-hmm. Gary, with help from Bruce. That is from Atlantic City, which has always been one of my favorite. Well, it's been one of my favorites, especially for that chorus line.
Yeah, that's very cool.
True.
So also we had one from Matt Ivy who says, hello Dan and Fab, I'm sorry to hear you be ending the show, but I understand why you are. I enjoy the show and I always look forward to listening to each new episode. Now this is interesting. He basically goes on to say he hopes we would do an interview as a suggestion, and I know you responded to this in email, but he suggests we should interview Jacob Applebaum. He says he thinks he says he thinks we'd do a really good job of that, and I don't think we'd be able to get him to talk to us, to be honest.
No, and the few times we ran into each other on Twitter, it didn't end well.
Yeah. So thanks to
an interesting interview, though.
It would be, but it doesn't seem like I don't think he'd talk to us. Anyway, we could try.
Too important.
Yeah.
That he's in the Snowden gang.
He's on television and stuff. Yeah. So we had one from.
Television, come on.
That's true. He had one from Uwe. I think you pronounce that's German, isn't it?
Uwe.
Uwe.
Yep.
Okay, so I'd say Uwe, but obviously I don't speak German. He says, "Hi folks, sorry to see. I probably shouldn't do it in that accent. I will do anyway. Sorry to see that LO is going away. But I understand your reasons. Looking forward to what you come up with in the future. Thanks for all your hard work and all the best." He says, so thanks for that. Thanks for that, Uwe. And given that we are running out of time, I think I'll make this the last one and we'll push the others into next week. But it does give me a chance. This has got some really interesting suggestions, and it does give me a chance to do another stupid accent. So this is from Trent from Oz, who says, I am still a little nam from the news that you, this is so Aussie, that you blokes. I'm still a little nam from the news that you blokes are repping up the show. Oh, I'm losing it now. Anyway, the feeling is akin to that of hearing that your 5 TV shows being axed. I want to thank you both for many years of enjoyment. Hello has been a staple of my podcast list over the years and has brought me many a laugh. He says, I was reflecting on my enthusiasm, so my own enthusiasm / passion for Linux of late, and due to many factors, I find I am tinkering less and less. This is kind of parallel to the path of LO, or the path LO has taken. I have no doubt that the reason LO is such a great show is because of the dynamics between both of you and not so much the Linux / open source content. He could be right there. So he says, some ideas and thoughts for the show. Fab rants, this is probably a given, but maybe with a more formal intro where Fab can unleash while Dan tries to get a word in occasion. We've kind of filled that already. I mean, you've done that pretty well. Yeah. He says we definitely want to hear what you blokes have been up to, even if it's not geek related. He says at least one tune from Dan's Red Hole archive to wrap up the show. Well, we've kind of done that already.
We've been doing that too, yeah.
And this is the one I found interesting, and given that I can't get this Australian accent right, this is going to be even funnier. But he says, an accents from around the world segment, where Dan pulls off a pretty good accent from the region of his choice, of someone's region of choice, so I don't know if listeners maybe suggest it, and Fab just sounds Indian.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do not sound Indian!
Yeah. So, given that, that was pretty cool. So I've still got a few minutes. I'm checking my recorder, so I've got time. All right, and so
let's do more feedback next week.
Yeah,
I promise not to rant so much.
No, that's cool. Well, it says in the emails people wanted to hear a rant, so they've heard one now.
Yeah.
So there you go. You preempted it. So we're going to finish with a song. This is another one, fits in with Trent's request there. We've been playing some of our favourite songs from previous shows, and this is, to be fair, this is not my favourite song by this band by any means, but it is one of my favourite bands that we've played over the years. A German band called Houdini Roadshow, who I believe were from near. Yeah, okay. A good, fine German band, and we played this on. Yeah. We played this on.
The marching band, all good German bands, the marching bands,
Marching bands, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so we played this on Linux Outlaws 154, which was back in June 2010. I'll put a link to the show notes. It's called 18 Wheels to Hell, is the name of the song. And it's by Houdini Roadshow, as I said. And I'll let you, while I get this track queued up, I'll let you, give out any final info you want to mention.
I believe they're still around.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really
They have
cool.
a new album, actually. We played something off a newer album
I
that they
think
did.
they had, since then they had another album out. I'm just looking.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But my computer's very slow.
So if you want to get in touch with us, we should mention, get on the Saloon at saloon.sixgun.org. Send us emails.
The important thing, this will stay up, by the way. This is not going away.
Mm-hmm. The Saloon, yeah.
There will be geekery. Geekery will prevail.
Geekaroo, that could be an Australian link. Yes. Geekaroo, no, doesn't really work. Anyway, so send us emails to linuxoutlaws@sixgun.org and tell us things you want to hear. We have 4 shows left after this, so we've got a month almost to go. So we're still going to be around for a while.
So apparently their website, houdini-roadshow.com, links to Jamendo.
Right.
But on their Facebook page, their last update is from the 5th of November.
Oh, okay, so that's pretty
recent. They're still alive.
Yeah.
Apparently their music's been used in a Burger King Hungary commercial.
Has it?
Recently, says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, and we should get out of here before I run out of space on my recorder. So have a listen to this. This is Houdini Roadshow with a track called 18 Wheels to Hell. And we'll speak to you again next week, I think. We've got a show planned for next week. So
yes, we've got 4 bullets left, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Got to make them count. All right, and let's rock. Here we go.
Bring home the dead, bring home the cowards, bring home the pride, let's go! Take with me your kin, bring down your soul, do what I have to, take what you soul! I gotta know the time and know where to get out, and I'll tell you mine. See the hell I'm feeling, my regrets and pain, this had no meaning, looking like a pain. Running down the highway, wrong with the lands, we're trying not to blow away our hair, yeah. I'm reeling, yeah. Watch me bring them down. I tell me I'm real. I tell me I'm real. I tell me I'm real down.
Bam.
Hey. There we go.
Bam.
So my recorder came up with card full just about halfway through that.
Well,
so
good timing.
Yeah, good timing. That's true.
We're getting the money's worth.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I also need to to go and book some train tickets for tomorrow and do some other work as well. So it's not just down to that. But I did actually run out of.
My God, that's an ugly ass fucking airport.
Manchester Airport. It's been a while since I've been, to be honest.
Who's designed that main building? That's horrible.
I've no idea. I don't know, to be honest. It's probably pretty old.
I was in the Starbucks.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I'm trying to think. There aren't many good-looking airports that I know of. I mean, even like Schiphol looks shit. It's just huge.
Shithole looks shit, but people say this, but I do like Heathrow. It's well designed.
I don't know Heathrow as well.
Nice. Hamburg's really small, but it's like really. Hey, Hamburg and Bonn, they've built new terminals where basically, there's the standard airports like Manchester and Heathrow is like they're like basically a big hall, and they're like a big storage hall, and they're like dark because it has no windows.
Okay.
And it's basically like in IKEA, it doesn't have any windows. It just has,
If IKEA did airports.
Now that building structure, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a big building, and then it's just like little separation inside. Now with the new terminals, with something like in Hamburg or in Bonn, they basically build a glass structure. It's about as high as completely glass, and then everything's open at the top, so you actually get natural light come in, and you see everything, and it looks very friendly.
Yeah.
But like a fucking cave.
Yeah. I suppose nobody wants that kind of
Fab airport rants.
Airport rants. That could be another one.
We're taking on Frankfurt.
Who suggested marching band Outlaws a minute ago? Was that Mitzi or something? Oh no. Oh my God! Surprise! Hello. It says. I presume that's what the name means. Marching band Outlaws. That could be interesting. I did know a guy years ago who was in not a marching band but a brass band. So there's a bit of a tradition. Right. There's a bit of obviously there's a lot of brass bands in Germany as well, but there's a bit of a tradition with like a lot of the coal mines and things like that. A lot of the unions, the miners' unions and things would have like bands, like brass bands. And they then got into competitions and stuff. And I knew a guy who was I used to work with him years ago. He was a drummer, and he played in a brass band. And it's a proper Lancashire, kind of Yorkshire, Lancashire, Northern thing, brass bands, really. But they have competitions, and he used to tell me how ridiculously competitive they were. And they would go to the lengths of like trying to sabotage other bands, and it was like ultra competitive. It was like ridiculous. People, the like whole rivalries had been built up over the last 100 years between like such and such colliery band and someone else's band.
Fucking marching bands. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So but people take this shit seriously. So I imagine there might be a good undercover story in that marching band Outlaws or brass band Outlaws. Maybe I could uncover the. There you go, Truggleswick, Burnley versus Blackburn. He's right, yeah, he must be familiar with that. So all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's like, it's rivalry, it is. Anyway, so on that note, I'm going to hang up the microphone for tonight, and do
that. Yeah. I'll kill the YouTubes.
Cool. All right, yeah.